Hello, guests. Motivational strategies and changing trends. Under this podcast series, this is next episode. Okay, let's start. We all know the laws of physics. To be specific, laws of motion. The first law of motion says the body will stay in constant motion or it will maintain its position until an external force is applied to it. This is even called as a law of inertia. This applies more to the cosmic bodies. For example, the earth is in motion around the sun. Only thing this will change if an external force gets applied to it. Otherwise, it will continue to stay in that motion. What the reference of it? The similar thing is there about human minds. That's where I'm trying to come from. We are talking about the motivation. That means our mind is kind of in motion. We have to apply similar laws. And that's what is the topic. Human mind also need a constant motion with a force. Else it will not do things. Even regular things, you will need certain kind of motivation to do it. Since the start of humanity, if you know, there was the function of musics or drums or etc. to make the people motivate to go for hunting gathering. If you know about it, any action, there will be songs or some kind of music so that people will be motivated and do it. Even though it may be a regular work, for a most productive mind, it's not necessary. You will say that okay, it's like our regular thing. Why we need like all the kind of creativity or productivity every time? Answer is yes. Even you are doing like a very regular thing and not like researching something new, still our mind will need a certain motivation. Those are the theories we know. Their theories are there about how the thing gets motivated, about there are various factors affecting our motivation. And that's how we start working. In the nature, we see that there are insects like ants or certain flies or something, they are motivated on themselves. The queen ant or queen bee never tell the worker ants or worker bees to do something today. Like this. It doesn't give them the instructions that do this for today. They haven't understood. That's their basic instinct. That's what they will do. But humans know. That's why we need certain supervisor or something as a motivator, if you want to call it that way, which will oversee that the things are happening. If you say you know your work, what's good for you, what's good for the work, and do it, humans won't do it because they will. Human mind, we understand. This is not a psychological class. So we always need constant motivation, even we are doing regular work, and not necessarily we are doing like creative new project. So what are the ways? It has been observed, like if you are doing certain thing constantly, then your mind start losing. If you are sitting next to window, the people who sits next to window while working and sits other way, it has been observed that productivity is little better where the people sits near the window. Why? Because they can, in between they can observe something and that freshens their mind. and that creates the energy, synergy, which makes things more productive. You need to do little constant breaks in between. That's what is been suggested, so that your mind freshens in that small interval. Now, how to what we do in the breaks, because when you're sitting next to window, not everybody will sit next to window, or not everybody will have that bird eye view. So what they do, how we motivate ourselves. So those are the certain things we see, like we the people may be singing, like they do something else, like some people will listen to music while working, and that makes them very productive. Or some people, even you are like doing some physical work, they may be whistling or they may be singing themselves, that because that focuses their mind and adds the creativity. So arts is always the thing. Since ancient time, if you know, people have been motivated to go for hunting or anything, and then they will they will do the cave painting, so that it will motivate how the things are done, or how they or they will play the drums, so that what I talked about at the start, so that it will motivate them to do certain things. So those are the things which freshen the mind, and even though certain things are regular, we do it. Where I'm coming from, that's the art, or stories, or anecdotes. Now, stories means not epic, or art means not like a full-fledged symphony or orchestra or something. Something small in between that will freshen your mind. That's what we are going to do. Okay, so let's start. I am going to talk about all the things. Like, it can be philosophy, it can be humor, it can be poetry, it can be science, everything. Now you will tell why. It will freshen your mind. Our mind necessarily doesn't need to be fresh in a certain way. When you hear something special, different, that's what we get something in our daily social media. Do you see that they will send some quotes? They may be philosophy, science, or anything, or there may be poems, anecdotes, short stories. That just freshens our mind. Humor, that's the best thing, because that will just freshen your mind immediately. It all depends upon our mind, how we freshen it. And mind is the one which makes the productivity. Body, yes, it needs to be healthy, but it's mind which will make the thing more productive and more fruitful. So I'm going to talk about certain stories. So I gave the introduction to, because I'll be switching between this and this, and then people will ask why, or why you're talking between the different things. So that's what it is. So today I'm going to talk about perception. We all have perception about everything. So I'm going to talk about scientific perception about two, three different things. First is time, and second is gravity, and third is singularity. So what are the perceptions and how the things change? Now we know time is defined multiple ways. Like, that's what I'm coming from, the perception. Time is absolute, or time is relative, or time is function of something. Same thing for gravity, and same thing for singularity. So I'm going to come to that. But to explain the perception, or about the vision, or about the thing, how we see it, and then how others are, how things when we seen differently. So I'm going to talk one, we'll start with a story. So it will be kind of some philosophical or poetic story, but then I'll come to the point. So then I will switch to the scientific point. Okay, sorry about it. So we'll talk a simple story about the perception, about how the things are. So the story goes like this. It's a story about two poets, and they were about living in vicinity, but a little bit away from each other. Now one poet was extremely what you can say, it's such a great man. He was a poet, he was a great man, and what you call everything. And what the story says, like if people go to him, he will be like give his heart out to you. He will be very, he will be extremely generous or anything. But only one caveat was there. Whenever people reach to him, his eyes will go down. I mean, even suppose he's giving, like his hands will go up, but his eyes will go down whenever somebody approaches him. People were wondering why is like that. I mean, he feels shameful, bashful, or why? But he's such a great person. The next poet understood it, the story, what happened. So the poet sent him a couplet, and he asked, like, your hands goes up for something, like if you are trying to give something, your hands goes up, but your eyes go down. Why is like that? So he wrote some two couplets and sent him. When the first poet got this, he understood. He write his response under that. The response meant in couplets only, two lines. But what the story was, what the two couplets meant was, when I see something, I'm not sure. It might be the Lord. He may be coming to me. The God may come to me. So to honor it, my eyes go down. Because I don't want to be proud that my hands are going up for giving, and I feel I should not get pride in mind. That's the reason my eyes goes down. So he wrote that in two couplets. So that's the perception. Because sometimes when you think something, but that might not be the thing. Now let's come to the point. What about time? Time was initially, we are coming to science again. So I told you we will be switching between. So time was defined in ancient, probably Sumerian time or Egyptian time. They decided according to sun cycle. So and moon cycle as well. So day was divided between 12 hours day and 12 hours night, and then it was subdivided into 360 degrees, and then 7 days a week and 4 weeks a month, and then 12 months, and then the adjustment. So that's how they define the time. When the modern thing comes, they understood this is not the adequate definition. This is like a relative definition of time. So they decided time should be defined as a function of speed of light, because that's the fastest thing in the universe. And they defined the time. We now hear the scientific stories that time is dilated, or there are paradoxes, like if you go in the spacecraft and then comes, then you will be 65 years old and your twin will be 100 years old or something. How that thing comes? Because if time is absolute, then that should not happen. But if time is defined as a function of light, speed of light, then this will happen. They had defined a speed of like 3 million kilometers per millimeters per second. That's the speed of light has been defined, and there is a formula that. But it says that light is moving in vacuum or no medium. We know that there is nothing like no medium. There are fields. There are gravitational fields, there are magnetic fields, there are Higgs fields, and something there is antimatter which we don't know about. Visibility or light, which we understand. We know there are X-ray vision because we don't see it, but X-ray visions or some other visions we see it. So antimatters means light moves in which matter or which medium, we don't know. So speed of light cannot be constant, or speed of light, time dilates or time slows down means speed of light is slowing down. We know the definition of speed, that is speed equal to distance traveled divided by time. Now speed of light, if you think as a if you take one of that as a constant, then the other thing slows down. If you want to keep the equations constant, then that means t is different, or you have to change the time, definition of time. That's what it means. So time dilates, or time slows down, or time goes fast. That's the definition of that. According to the universal theory, the time should be absolute. I mean, when something, we don't know when universe started or how many universes are there, but it should be constant. So it depends upon our perception about how we measure the time. Time should be defined that way. But we hear a lot of times the funny things. So those are the perceptions about or definition of yours, of how you define it, the time or everything. So that's what I wanted to give the example of. Same thing about gravity. Gravity as a force was like mathematically defined by Newton. Two bodies in the universe will attract each other. The force in between depends upon the product of their mass and inversely proportional to the distance between them, square of the distance between them. So gravitational force equal to gravitational constant into m1 m2 divided by r square. That is m1 and m2 are the two masses, the two bodies, and the r square is the distance between the square of the distance between them. He defined gravity as a force. After 200-300 years, when Einstein came, then they decided it's not gravity, there is no force. There is something called space-time curvature. So it's not actually two bodies are attracting to each other, it's they are just sliding on the curvature of the space-time. Because they were not able to explain now if light is, because if you say mass to mass, for gravity there should be two mass objects, and light doesn't have a mass, but light bends. That was gravitational lensing effect which was observed. You cannot explain that with the Newtonian theory of gravity. So it was observed that the light actually curves around the space-time. So again, there is a definition of time is coming, which is again defined with the speed of light. So there are a lot of things are there. This is not scientific lecture. I mean, there are all the if you want to go into that, there will be material will be there, and that you can check how it is. But I'm just talking about the perception, different perception, and we are just thinking about some critical thinking to make our mind a little bit more focused and curious. Again, curiosity kills the cat. That's what they say. But unless you have the curiosity, cat needs to have curiosity. It has to jump. I mean, so ship is meant to be sail in the ocean, even though there may be hurricanes will come out. It has to face the big waves, but it doesn't mean to be in the harbor. So those are the good quotes I'm just quoting about. We are trying to make our mind curious. So how all these things are defined and how we are thinking about it. Then why I'm going to cosmos? Because as I told you in my previous episode as well, I have a theory that I'm a second follower. I have a theory that human brain has been evaluation happened of human brain doesn't follow any evaluation theory. Human brain has special purpose, and why human brain was developed, probably that the creator wanted to save these creations if any catastrophic event happened the way it happened before. So that's why the human brain has been developed, and that was the theory about the ark. So again, I apologize, that was my theory, but we want to take it that lightly only. Okay, so this is about space-time and time and gravity. Now singularity. What is singularity? Like point which has no other dimension, single dimension, singularity. That was there at the start of the Big Bang, when the universe started. Universe was at the point blank, and then explosion happened. Then what happened? Within the explosion, the singularity died, like within that whatever time, whatever the way you define the time, because it becomes like a duality, because that point energy converted into mass, that means two dimension. Singularity turned within whatever time definition you have, turned into duality, mass and energy. After that, what happened? Mass is again subdivided, positive, negative. Then positive, negative club and become neutral. And if you see, all the dimensions started creating. Even it's a light, we know it has 7 visible colors. If you just pass through the prism, no singularity. It has 7 dimensions just visibly. Apart from that, we know from ultraviolet to uh, uh, infrared, you have so many wavelengths are there, which our human instrument can measure. And apart from that, there's antimatter, which we don't understand about yet fully. So singularity is not there, or singularity was there, but it converted into everything. Currently, whatever we think as a singular, what the object are considered as singular, still they have a mass, and that's not point mass, because we understand the Sagittarius A is like a 4 million mass equivalent of sun masses. So it's not singular, right? Singular means it should be like energy, point energy. It doesn't occupy the space time. The singularity broke, it converted to space time, then energy and mass, then mass, then. So we lost the singularity right away. Singularity is just a concept, but it will become singular at one point, because we know mass and energy are interconvertible. Entire energy of universe remains constant. It just changes the form. It can convert into mass and vice versa. But equivalent, if you define the equivalent absolute unit for it, it remains constant no matter what. That's the singularity. That's how it is defined. What is gravity? If you go into the scientific, let me come to the gravity and the space-time. If you go into the more details about it, gravity is a force of created with interaction of magnetic fields and some other fields. Like we know only few fields: magnetic field, electric field, and Higgs field or something. So when the magnetic field interchanging or swiping, then in between it releases the energy or releases the photon, and that actually turns out to be attractive force and repulsive force. And that is, if you go into that level of mass of sun or earth, then you start feeling the gravity, or even any object. Singularity of atom, we know when the previous generation was trying to find out what is the smallest thing what we can come to, when they were mixing the two things, they were able to find different properties. But what is the absolute? Then they come up to the concept of atom. So atom is the probably most granular part. Then in the last 2 centuries, we understood atom is not the granular part, it has subarticle. Then we know all that good stuff. There's a positive charged nucleus, then there's a neutrons are there, and then the electrons are there, all these things. And they found even mass of the atom, and then those positive charge particles and everything. But we know 99% of the atom is entirely empty. The electrons are not exactly in the particular energy object, energy level when they're orbiting. They can be anywhere in that sphere. But 99% of the time, the thing will be empty. So singularity means when they start collapsing, like that 99% start, if you start gaining that space, and like you start compacting the atom by with whatever energy you have, then we will start getting that 4 million masses into like very small thing. That's what is the concept. And At one point, probably there will not be mass and everything will become energy. That was the start of the Big Bang or start of the any universe. You may be follower of single universe or multi-universe, everything, that should be the start point. Energy of the universe will remain same. And that's the singularity. Singularity is there, but it's there. Our soul or anything or any object, nothing can be destroyed. Nothing can be destroyed by force. It just converts into one form into another. It's like you can change the thing and then you reappear yourself. We are all part of the same supreme being. So that concept, what is taught everywhere, is correct. So that freshens your mind. Do you understand? We are also part of the supreme being. We have to energize. Please let your chakras grow. Let them synchronize. Let them focus. And you will feel the energy. You will feel the creativity. That will freshen the mind. And you will have a great positive day to start with. If you like it, give me a thumbs up.